Sorry, it makes me laugh. My dad he tried to teach me all this. I wasn't, no, I wouldn't listen. I wanted to go out and have fun.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast. I just wanted to give a shout out for anyone who is interested in being a guest. It is completely anonymous, so we'll let you choose a fake name and we will hide identifiable information so you can come on the show and share freely. It is a full hour to an hour and a half with me, Barbara, and we'll do a deep dive on your finances, where you're doing well, where maybe you're struggling, and come up with a game plan for how to reach your financial goals. To be a guest, you just need to put a submission in either on Instagram or on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com. And you just need to be a female. As we've said before, this podcast is produced with Amy, Alex, and myself, so an all-female team, and our goal is to help improve financial education amongst women, so that is why we interview women about their finances. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in being a guest, please put in a submission on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com, or send us a message on Instagram. And welcome to Financials Podcast Future Rich. I'm your host, Barbara Ginty, and I'm also a CFP, which is a certified financial planner, and I am here with my guest today, Sam. Hi, Sam. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
Well, why don't you fill myself and also our listeners in, give us a little bit of background, how old you are, if you're married or not, what you do for work, whereabouts you are, all that jazz.
Cool. Okay, I am a teacher. I teach middle school students because I love their nihilistic little hearts. And I'm married. I'm 46. I'm married to an awesome guy who is a paramedic and firefighter with our city fire department. And I have four boys.
4 boys.
Four boys. One is 14. I have an almost 13-year-old, an almost 11-year-old, and an 8-year-old.
Oh, you're busy.
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes. Uh-huh. And we also like to do things in the most chaotic and hard way possible. So we just moved a month
Okay.
ago. Like we closed on this house literally 1 month ago, yesterday, and are in our new home closer to jobs and school and the kids' activities.
Okay, very nice. And then what area of the country are you in?
Southwest.
Southwest. Okay. And then what do you make as a middle school teacher?
So right now I make my salary is 56,000 and change, and then I just also, because I like to do things the hard way, I just finished my classes for my level 2 license. So July 1st, I am actually, well, and then also the state did us a favor and gave us a huge raise. So I am going to be making 65,000. Yeah, it's a big raise.
That's a big jump.
Wait, hold on. Did I do that right? 56. I'm actually going to be making more than that.
More than 65?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number yet because I work for a charter school and
Okay.
they pay us for 10 extra school days a year. It's probably going to be closer to 70.
This is a huge jump.
It's a really big raise. But when I tell you all the other things, you're going to be like, okay, that raise is gone.
Well, okay. So you're a teacher making, we'll say approximately 70,000 starting July 1st, which is in
Hmm.
like 60 days. And are you one of the teachers, because it depends when you're a teacher, how you elect to get paid. Are you one of the teachers that gets paid over the summer?
Yeah, we don't get to elect that. They tell us.
Oh, they tell us. Okay. So in New York State, you can elect how you want to be paid just through the school year or throughout the summer. Okay.
That's
So you
cool.
get, yeah. So you get paid all year.
Hmm.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. But you are off in the summer.
Sort of. Yeah, it's since I
The
became a
school is different from where I'm from than where you are, I
the
believe.
school year has just gotten longer and longer since COVID.
Mhm.
So I now have less than 2 months.
That is a big difference. Okay.
Hmm.
Less than 2 months off in the summer. Okay. And
But
then
like I
what is
said,
your
they pay us for those extra 10 days. So, you know,
right? Okay.
so
For your husband, what does your husband make as a paramedic firefighter?
His base salary at his city job is I just did this the other day. It's hard to tell because he has two small checks and then a big check. So I think I did the math correctly and it's approximately $92,000
as his base pay?
as his base pay. Now, yeah, he's been in for 20 years.
Okay. And then does he
He's
get overtime, or he can get
Yes,
overtime? Okay.
he will work overtime, but he's 43 on Tuesday and it's just the job beats you up. They go for 48 hours and then they come home and there's no sleeping where he is. We have a very busy city. We have a really big homeless problem and drug problem and there's just like all kinds of things going on out there. So he not I mean I love my place. I don't want to bash my place. I love my place, but he is starting it's starting to affect his body. So we're working less overtime and he has a second job at the almost said at the some nearby labs where
Okay.
sometimes they have to run calls because they're doing really dangerous experiments, and he also does like a health clinic there. So he's still working as a paramedic, and then that job will hopefully be his full-time job when he retires and we go to a chunk of his he has a pension.
So yeah, you both have pensions,
We
right?
both have pensions. My pension is not going to be amazing because I have four kids and one of them has autism, and I was out of the workplace for
Of
like
course.
ten
Okay.
10 years. Yeah, so I've only been back into this. I've been back in the classroom for 3 years, but this is my second year. 4 years. I've been back in 4 years. This is my second year with back in the pension system.
And the pension system. Okay. But your husband's been in for a full 20. And then for his pensions, they all work different based on up here, it's based on tier and contract. So can he retire with 25 years in?
Yeah, we're hoping to get there, but he has to stop working so much overtime. He will not make it
Yeah, so he
physically.
just needs to do his base hours and
Hmm.
not taking the overtime. And then does he get penalized for taking it at 25 and being, because then he'll be 48, so he won't, no
No,
penalty on that. Okay, so he can get the full pension amount after 25 years of service. And
yeah,
then
it's
what does that,
90. Sorry,
oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, what does it work out to be at
it's
25 years?
90% of his three highest paid years.
It's fantastic.
It's so good. It's actually so good that he's grandfathered in.
I was gonna say that doesn't sound like the new so he's an old, because he's been there for 20 years, so he is in one of the old contracts.
Mm-hmm.
The newbies
Mm-hmm.
don't get that, I imagine.
Mm-mm. No, and he can retire anytime between 20 and 25 with the pension. He gets 70% at 20, and our first goal is to get to 2310, which is 23 years 10 months, because that's 80%.
80%, okay. So go
Hmm.
between 20 and 25, you go between
Hmm.
70 and 90% of the highest,
Hmm.
or the average of 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. So if he hits, we'll just say his average is 92, doesn't do the overtime, he's just consistent, then he would get 90% of that. So he'd bring home about 82,000 in the pension. Now for the pension, they give you the election right. So single life would be your highest,
Hmm.
covering a spouse, you would get less. Did they give you, have you seen those numbers?
I have not. I've been asking him this last week, but
Those would be important to look at, because I'm
okay.
just gonna take a guess without looking at it, that
Yeah.
90% at the 25 years of service would be your highest and best number, but it would leave you and the kids in a bit of a lurch if anything should happen to him, if that's based on only his life. There's usually what's called a
No,
n
he's gonna
no?
do the split. He's gonna do the split. We joke. It's a macabre joke, but I'm gonna outlive him by like a lot. My my genes are old. They go real old, and his
Well,
genes
and
do not.
women statistically outlive men, but so what I'm saying is I wouldn't count on 82. 82 is probably his single life offer.
Okay. Okay, I get you. I get you.
Yeah, and so with you being covered, which I think is a good idea, you have to see what the reductions are for that. Because when they go
Okay.
to cover from one life to two lives, depending on what you elect, which if you choose, let's just say you choose 100% pop up, meaning that he covers you for 100%, anything happens to you, you get the same pension. If anything anything happens to him, you get the same pension. Anything happens to you, he goes back. to as if he had a single life. That's how they do it up. Pensions are very specific, so I'm using generalizations based on what I've seen here in New York State. So you need to
Yeah.
check, you need to get that print out, and then you can
Okay.
see what the options are. But I don't want you to plan on 82,000 because that's most likely his single life option. And I do think it would be a good idea, especially given how young you both are and that you have young children, that you cover both lives. But that means you're going to take a haircut. You're going to take a reduction on that number.
Okay. I'm writing all that down.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, they should, when you there should be, like, the retirement people you can call, and they can give you a printout with a projected retirement date, and it should give you a schedule. If I choose single life, 5 years certain, 10 years certain, I cover my spouse for 50%, 100%, 75, they should give you all the numbers. So then that way you have a better idea of what you'll realistically get when he retires.
Okay. I
Because, like, if
will.
there was a $10,000 gap, that would be a big gap, if you weren't planning on it
For
for
sure.
anybody. So,
Yeah.
okay, well, so that's amazing. And then you have the health benefits, I presume?
Health benefits are better than mine.
Oh, so then, okay, so then for health insurance, when he
What are we gonna
retires,
do?
yeah, because he doesn't retire with health insurance. Does he get
Well,
a reimbursement for something?
no, he didn't get anything. They don't do
Oh,
anything
okay.
for them. We know this because he's a legacy. His father and his grandfather and his brother all in, and
Oh, wow. Okay.
so we were basing this off of what his dad. He and his dad have basically the same contract. He's like the bottom youngest who's in that
And
same
his dad's
contract,
the oldest, yeah,
and
in
dad's
that
like, well,
contract.
he's been retired now for 14 years, but so yeah, our immediate plan is to go on to my health insurance, which is fine. It's just a little bit more expensive than his.
Okay.
So that'll be good. And I hope to work till I'm in my 60s. And I'm saying that with a really big dose of optimism because it's May and I'm tired.
Yeah, it's hard to think that far out. Okay. So your plan, so initially you'll go on your health insurance and then his second job, which he hopes to make his primary job when he does retire, would that have health benefits?
Actually, yeah, it would. I wonder if we would do them. They have,
Yeah,
yeah,
so that would be something to investigate.
they definitely have it.
So then, and then when it, just to before we go through your, expenses and savings, with his second job, would the hope be to replace exactly what he's making as a firefighter, or to get more because he has the pension, and then the second job becomes the primary job?
I don't, sorry, say that again.
What is the with the goal when he goes to retire, and you'll have, let's just say you have a pension. We'll just say you have about 75,000 as income from the pension, with covering both lives. With his next job, with his second career, I'll call it, when he
Mhm.
goes and makes that full time, what would he make there approximately?
Okay, so I set off, I think he's making $33 an hour there. And I think that would be the same with probably COLA raises.
Mhm.
It's a corporate environment. It's a very stable, successful. They have money over there.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I
it'd be
mean,
about 65,000 a year, give
okay,
or take.
cool.
Does
That
that
sounds
sound
right. That sounds right. Yes,
okay?
that sounds like
And
what
then
his
he would have,
contract.
the pension. So you'd actually, when he goes to retire, by collecting the pension and him getting a second career, you'd be bringing in a lot more money. Is the
Hmm. Yeah,
objective?
we don't. We don't know how long he'd be able to keep it up. Do you know what I mean? Like it's much better with him coming home every night and sleeping. That
Oh,
certainly helps. But
yeah, definitely.
and it's a lot less stress over there because it's much, much, much slower.
Mhm.
But yeah, I just don't know. We do not know how long he will work with the second career.
For the second career.
He talks about like maybe if I can make it to 20, I can get another pension. And I'm just like, I don't know, dude, you're gonna be tired. You might need to just stay home and play video games. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's talk about then. So he's making good money as a firefighter, have a really good pension, like
Hmm.
probably a top pension, and obviously because he is paying in all these years as a fireman, he'll also have good Social Security. There's going to be a very big gap, but that's okay. It comes down the line. So let's talk about um, your where you are with net income. Do you have that number? How much you have put in the
We
bank account?
how much we have in the bank account. We don't have anything in the bank account right now, but that's okay. We don't talk about that. We our net income over last year was 123.
Okay. So your net income, is that based on your tax return that you
Yeah.
123,000? What do you have deposited from both of your payrolls into your checking account? Like what comes into your checking account?
Okay. For every month,
Yes, for every month.
where are you? An average month is probably 12,000.
Perfect. Okay. That was the number. Okay. So you have 12,000 coming in monthly from between
Average.
both average. Yeah, it'll
Mhm.
vary because with your husband's job. Okay. So we'll start from here. So your monthly income that you hits your bank account is approximately on average 12,000 a month. And then now that you've closed on the new house, congratulations. What are your expenses?
We have a $2,800 mortgage.
Okay.
That's new.
That's new.
It's it's at 6.75%. We were a little bit lucky with our timing this year. A little bit.
And that was a 30-year fix.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll refinance if they ever decide the rates need to go
Her
down,
rates go.
but we don't know. We had a really nice down payment from our old house that we bought before the market started going nuts.
Hmm.
So we were able to put down 90,000, 93,000 on the house, which was,
Fantastic.
yeah, which was really good. So we have a nice
Perfect.
um cushion of equity there, in a really, really beautiful neighborhood, uh close to lots and lots of things that we need to get to. We used to live 30 minutes from anything and then 45 minutes from most of our. I know we moved out there for the schools. It's when you have a kid with autism, you do desperate things. Anyway, um
Just doing a
well,
lot of commuting.
I was doing a ton of commuting and we do music, so I was those were extra days where we would be in the car for like 3 hours total, but it was just
Yeah, that's a lot.
it was awful. This is much, much better. Okay, so 2,800, our utilities and our car expenses are gonna go way down.
Okay. Yeah, you're not
Um,
going to be driving nearly as much.
and our home that we bought is partially underground.
Okay.
It's on a bluff, so the heating and cooling is just gonna be a completely different ballgame. Just we were paying like $400 air conditioning bills last year. It was electric bills, but I call them air conditioning bills because
Because it was for the air
it
conditioning.
was
Yeah.
for the air conditioning. One month was 600. It was crazy. But here we won't have that because our top floor is uh, above ground and our bottom floor is half underground. So it's
So
just
it'll keep the insulated a lot better. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, we're
Perfect.
so by that. What else? We are sending our 14-year-old to high school this fall. He's going to go to a private school, which we got huge financial aid for, but that's 7,000 a year. It's about 650 a month in our payment. We're doing the 12-month payment.
Amen. Okay.
I think that starts actually in June with our mortgage. Yay.
Yeah, I was like, because you don't have a May mortgage payment because the way when you close, it like skips a month.
It did, and we closed right at the beginning of April, so we've gone 2 months without
Month.
paying mortgage, but I've tried to save as much as I could. I actually opened a high yield savings account for the first time in my life.
Great.
So it makes me laugh. My dad he tried to teach me all this. I wasn't no, I wouldn't listen. I wanted to go out and have fun. So we have a high yield savings account. I'm trying to build up a first of all, I'm saving money for a big family reunion for my parents' 50th wedding anniversary, but that's in October of 26. So I'm putting away about 250 a paycheck, so 500 a month for that.
500 a month for the family reunion. Okay.
hmm
That's really
Because
nice.
yeah, we're going to Disney World and Universal in Florida.
That's great.
Yeah, it's weird that my dad wants to do that. He's going to be 80, but okay. That's what he wants to do. And then we're going to and I'm also at the same time trying to build up some sort of emergency fund.
It's emergency fund. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So 650 for private high school, 500 for the family reunion, 2,800 for the new mortgage, and
hmm
then do you have car payments?
Yes, we do. We had paid off my van and then last March it just died. So I got a grown woman car for the first time in my life and we're paying And that mortgage is 760 a month.
760 for the car.
Mhm.
Okay, and how long is that,
Another 5 years.
5 years? Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, 760 for the car,
Greg's
and
car's almost
then
paid off. It's 520 a month or something. Yeah, it's 500 a month for for Greg's car. We're gonna be done with that by next spring.
okay, perfect. And food? Because I imagine with 4 boys, groceries are expensive.
Yeah, since we've moved here and I'm looking forward at the private school and the new mortgage load, I'm really working on our food and being more. We used to eat out constantly because we were on the road so
A
much.
road, yeah.
And here we just don't have to do that. So I've gotten our grocery bill down to 1,200 a month.
That's really good.
Well, it's also optimistic. You might want to put 1,400 or something.
Okay, well, yeah, okay.
That is my goal.
Okay, and then what about, like, other miscellaneous, like cell phone, car insurance, gas?
We pay 230 a month for 3 cell phones. The gas,
That should go down.
it went way down. Let me go to over here to my spreadsheet.
So, what I'm trying to ascertain is if we have money left over monthly. I'm sure you're gonna tell me you don't have anything left over
No, not
monthly?
really.
Okay,
This next month, the what I put together, I have 700 left. Um,
$700.
After I
Okay,
put money into, we have a deferred compensation plan with Voya. I probably shouldn't have said that, but we have a deferred compensation plan that some of Greg's paycheck goes to. We have borrowed from it twice.
okay.
Um, and so we pay 475 into that, but it goes back to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I guess I have a question. Generally,
Okay.
with the deferred compensation plan, it comes out of payroll.
Yes.
So, does that happen?
Yes.
Okay. So
But we
then
also on top of that pay 475 a month for what we borrowed.
because you're paying back a loan to deferred comp.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
so you have 475 that comes that okay, because you're paying back a loan from the deferred comp, but his contribution amount besides the loan goes through
Mhm.
his payroll. Okay.
Yeah, our actual let me see. What is our total debt payment? 2156.
You pay 2156 for total debt, and that's made up of the deferred compensation. So yeah, that was going to be my next question.
Oh,
Okay, so
actually
we'll
I put deferred compensation into the savings because we're paying ourselves. Is that not how that works, Barbara?
I did that with your debt payment, because
Okay.
you did borrow from yourself, but then you should think of yourself as like both
Okay.
sides, both you're paying yourself back, so it's
All
still
right.
a loan.
I
That's
moved it
okay.
over here. I moved it back over here.
Okay, because there's a
Yeah.
hole in your deferred comp, right? Like
Yeah.
putting you're filling the hole back up.
Filling back up.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like a neutral. So I would put it on the debt side because it's not adding to your savings goals. It's just
Okay.
repairing the hole.
Got it. All right.
Okay.
Well, so that's student loans,
Okay.
auto loans, a
Okay.
few let's see. The trailer. We have a trailer. We thought it would be, actually this isn't too bad. It's
Okay.
189 a month. We do that instead of hotels and we rent it out
Okay.
in the summertime.
Okay. Student loans, auto loans, and do you have credit card debt?
Yeah, we have 13,000 in credit card debt. 3 grand of that is at a really high interest rate that I would like to get rid of. And then the 10 grand is on a 5% 18 month.
Oh, 18 month, and you're trying to tackle that
Well, yeah, I mean, at least not let it balloon while we
loan.
deal with stuff.
Okay, and then how much do you have in student loans
I have $35,000 in student loans and I haven't really paid on them for like 5 years.
for the COVID pause?
The COVID pause and then we have to figure out what's going on pause, which is ending in June, and that's 280. It was 280 a month. I still haven't heard from them. I've gone into my account, I've gone in, but
Okay.
they literally it basically says we don't know what's going on and when we figure it out we'll let you know.
We'll
Like
let you
that is
know.
basically what the website says.
So, and you don't do you qualify for the public? service loan forgiveness with your school or no?
I thought I did, and then someone told me I didn't. So again, when they figure out what's going on, I'm definitely gonna look into that. I would be oh, 4 years in to the.
Did you Yeah, because you would be 4 years in because it would be from COVID. They would count ideally, they would count COVID because pre-COVID, you would have had to have it certified each year with your employer.
Oh, okay, then I'm starting over and I'm only 2 years in.
Okay, but they might count all of COVID because it was on a pause, so I would try to get, if you can, get the COVID years to count. That'd be 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, maybe 5
Mhm.
potentially, and then you would have 5 years left, but it has to be an eligible employer, and you do have to certify that every year.
Well, I have not done that. I've tried
Anyone else at
last.
your school that's working that's in public, because it's, like, always easy to copy somebody. If someone else is already doing it, you could be like, "Okay,
I'll,
who certifies your form?"
I will ask around. This,
Ask
I,
around and see if any of your colleagues are in public service loan forgiveness, and then I would copy what they're doing to make it real easy, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel because that would be great. What I would say though, that generally what happens is you're going to be on an income repayment plan. So it's going to be based on your income. And then generally what you do is you do married filing separate to separate your incomes. So it's
okay.
based only on your income and not on because your husband has higher income than you.
Yeah,
So it would lower your payment if you do that.
yeah.
And so then you're paying less. And then ideally, in a perfect world, there's 5 years in COVID count, and then you'd 5 more years. And then after 10, it's completely done. It's just forgiven. And if it's just based on your income, then maybe it would be less than 280, maybe it'd be 150. You're going to pay 150 a month for 5 years, and then you're done. And they forgive the balance.
That would be awesome.
Um, yeah, so I taught a class. I don't know if that's how you found the podcast, but I taught a class on student loans for the Chicago Public Library System. In general, there was like 35 libraries, so I don't know which name they were using, but there's 35 libraries. We taught it, and I there's a few really good resources where you can go on and you can like run the numbers based on the different repayment programs that are currently maybe paused, but will should be still available. There is a lot of flux with it. They will get it figured out at some point, but you can do some research in the interim and say, here are the income based programs, right? Like, and what would I be if it was just based on my income? Because you normally, when we see people on those programs, they are doing married filing separate to separate out the income, especially if they have less income than their spouse, so that the monthly payment is better.
Okay.
So I can give you the link to that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that Zoom that I did, and then there's a couple of good calculators on the government website. Think consumerreports.org had one as well. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can send you that.
Okay, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, but that would be great if you could be in one of the programs, get the payment lowered, and then get some forgiveness.
Mhm.
Because as far as I've read, they're not getting rid of the public service loan forgiveness. They're getting rid of payee potentially, but the public service loan forgiveness was one that initially, when they came out, had a horrible success. I think only 1%
Yeah,
made
it
it
was really
through.
hard.
It was really because it was really complicated and
It
nobody
was
knew how it
really hard.
worked.
Yeah, and we were
Um,
busy.
yeah, well, yeah, it wasn't straightforward. We do have a guest on the podcast, and I list that in the Zoom, like the Zoom that's pre-recorded. We have a guest. I have a two-part episode. She's a teacher, came on the show, was in the process of it, came back on the show to tell us how she had it forgiven, and she kind of outlines her best practices.
Cool.
But yeah, the statistics on it have gotten significantly better since it was originally started through today. So they did a lot of work to make it easier. It's just a little jumbled at the moment, but I imagine when they figure out who's in charge, with like moving everything over, we'll be back on hopefully the right path, at least for that program. There's other programs they're going to probably get rid of that are in legal limbo or might not make it through the legal decision. But I do believe the public service loan forgiveness will still be there. So
Let's hope so.
let's hope so. Okay, so we have student loans and then the auto loans and then the trailer and then the credit cards. Okay, so your total debt payments you said were 2,100.
Six. Well, counting the counting the
Oh,
thing
right,
I
there were
wasn't counting. 2,631.
631. Okay, perfect. Okay, and then in your monthly expenses, besides the deferred comp loan repayment, do you have any money going towards like a high yield savings account or emergency fund or anything like that?
So my plan right now was sort of to do, oh, we have a little bit going to 528s for the boys.
529s, yeah.
Thank you. That's what I meant. It's not much. It's,
And depending on your state, you can get a state, tax deduction for them. It just depends on what state you're in. So you
and
might get a
also,
deduction.
we also have right now, depending on what the future holds, but I think I think we're gonna be able to stay with it, and at least for the first two. We have free public college
Oh,
for
amazing.
yeah for us
Yeah.
for the residents of our state. Thank you. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, and politically, it looks like that's probably here to stay, at least for the older
Nice
two.
too. Perfect.
Yeah.
So that'll be helpful.
That'll be super helpful because I'm gonna maybe use some of the 529 to get us through high school
Yeah, because you
if
can use it for that.
if our financial aid package should change because it's I have to reapply for it every year.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So you
So
have that. And how much do you have in those?
they're totaling 9,000 right
Perfect.
now.
Because yeah, you can use them between siblings. So they're
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So yeah, and our second boy has autism. He's going to stay at my charter, which is going to go through 12th by the time he graduates. And it's a better fit for him than this private school. And then probably my third will go, I don't know. We might have 1 year of two private school tuitions, but
okay.
that's it. Just one.
One. Okay. Yeah, and you can use the 529 is a very flexible.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of the 529. I think it's a great program.
I am too. So that's why I upped we're sending at least 300 a month there now.
Perfect.
I may have just upped it more actually because I wanted to open one for the baby who's not a baby now. He is 8 years old.
That's good. You can if you can open one, but you also don't have to complicate it because you can move it around with siblings and change names. So
Okay.
really,
Yeah, maybe
yeah,
then I won't.
just keep your life simple and just keep adding to it and see what child needs it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Good
very
idea.
flexible. Okay, perfect. And then what about other savings? Like what's in the deferred comp? Are you in a 403b at work? Or
The deferred comp is with the chunk we murdered it with is 35,000.
is the
Right.
loan? You have a loan of 35,000 on it.
No, we have a loan of 20,000.
You
Sorry.
have a
And
loan of
then
20,000. Okay.
the total in there is 35,000. I just looked at it.
35,000. Okay, but you have a loan
Mhm.
of 20.
Mhm.
Okay, so 35,000 deferred comp. Okay. And then do you have a retirement savings at work?
Yeah, this was the one thing I didn't get into before we were meeting. I looked at my paycheck. I can look at it again. Actually, I'm going to look at it again because I bet you
Yeah.
can do that math really easily, whereas I cannot. Employer contribution. I am paying in each paycheck. I am paying in $244,
Okay, great.
and then I'm paying in $23 to something called the retiree healthcare authorization. So maybe will have healthcare in
Yeah, that would be
retirement.
good. Yeah, that would be a good
Sweet.
question. Teachers sometimes do retire with healthcare. So
Yeah.
I would find out about that.
That would be so exciting.
It would be great because then you wouldn't have to work till 65. That's when
Oh,
Medicare kicks in.
yeah.
Yeah, ask. And
Um,
also there are sometimes when you go to work to make your life easy because I know you're busy with, 4 kid dogs just moving. There are some people that study their benefits at work. Sometimes the older people closer to retirement really know what's going on because they've done all the meetings, they have their plan in place. Find that person at work who everyone's like, "Oh, I'll just use a random name. Cheryl knows everything," or th you will sometimes find that older person at work who's, like, nearing retirement, not everybody, but there are some people that really like this stuff and have square rooted it all, and they know exactly what day they get the most out of their pension, they know what the health benefits are, they know every little bit of your benefit package, and
that
if you
is
find that
great
person,
advice.
they will have already done all the meetings, done all the calls, read all the documents, and they can maybe give you the cliff notes.
Yeah, that is really terrific advice. Thank you.
I always find one of them when I go into employers and I do classes. I usually find some person who's like, "No, no, no, our contract was this, and you're a different contract. That contract didn't do as well. They only got 80, we get 90." You always find somebody who like has
He knows
learned
all of it.
goes all in on it.
Yeah.
Um, So you just have to find that person. There's always, I have never been in a workplace where there's nobody. There's always
Okay.
one person who's like square rooted the benefit system.
I've got a couple of people in mind to go ask
Okay.
and
Yeah.
talk to.
Just ask. And they'll be very excited you want to know because they did all this work and
It's
not
their side
everybody
hustle.
cares. Yeah, it's their side hustle. They did all this work and nobody really cares about the day it went into practice or how it got negotiated. But there will be
Yeah,
somebody at work that this is, they're very
important.
excited. So yeah. And then they can give you the cliff notes.
The employer contribution is 414.
414.
Yeah, per paycheck.
Wow. That's great. And you get paid 24 times or 26 times a year? It's every 2 weeks?
It's every 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay, so 26 pay periods. Okay, great. And then
We
that's a 403B, I presume?
That's a really good question.
Do you get a statement? Do you know how much is in there?
I do not. I have not gotten a statement. I've been back in the system for this is my second school year and I didn't get a statement when I was there in the first place. I've never seen it. My husband has been encouraging me to call them and try to contact them and see, and I just I haven't had a chance. But this summer things could
What does it
happen.
say on the pay stub? It says employee and employer. What does it say? Does it say anything else there? Like what the contribution is?
It just says it's got a column. It says employer
Mhm.
contribution, and they are putting in 413.92. So I rounded to
Yeah,
414
414.
for educational retirement, and they're actually putting in $45.61 for the New Mexico retiree healthcare authorization thing too, which
And
is
on the above on the box where it has the it just says deductions, and that's just listed as one of them?
yeah, that's just listed. It's that's it. There's nothing really above it. My gross wages are above it.
Okay.
Um, but other than
And
that,
it
there's
just says employee and employer contribution.
yeah, it says amount I'm putting in, it deducted
Like
negative.
44.
And then there's no negative sign in front of the employer contribution, and that's how much they put in.
So I guess I am curious if it's your pension, like, or if it's a 403B.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really believe it's the pension because of the way my state is about this
Mhm.
pension. Like, we don't have a whole lot of say at all as stakeholders in what they do with it.
Yeah,
We
because
are
you normally
just,
do pay into your pension or your
I don't
retirement
see,
benefit.
I can't see
Um,
on here where I would be paying into it if that's not it. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. And then I was just wondering because you never elect, because the 403B would be optional, like your husband's deferred comp
Oh, then no, it's not a 403B. That's just the pension, the state
pension.
pension.
Okay, that is
Yeah, because
getting paid.
I didn't opt into anything. They didn't offer, I don't think they offer that.
Okay. When you find this person at work who knows all your benefits, ask if there's additional, like if there's a 403B available or a retirement savings account as well.
Okay. I hate to do this to you, but my husband just got back to me and he's actually making $39 an hour.
Oh, that's fantastic. For
I
the
know.
second job,
Yeah.
that's great.
Cool.
That is wonderful. 39 is that's fantastic. Okay, so then for savings, we have why don't we call it 15 right now, really in deferred comp? Because we have 35 on paper, but we've borrowed
No,
20.
no, no. That's after the 20 is out.
Oh, it's after this 20 is out. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have 35 in there and
Hmm.
you're gonna be paying back the 20. Got it. Okay. And then you have the 529s, which are around 9,000. And then you have a little bit you said in a high yield savings account.
We have a thousand in right now. Because I had to restart it like 3 times
Okay.
with the move
So
expenses.
yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure that was expensive. Okay, so you will have two pensions, and your husband will get his pension like very soon. And I hope he makes it to the 25 because you'll get the max, which would be great. And then it looks like then with his second job, he'll end up making if he's getting let's say 75,000 on the pension, and then it looks like he's making closer to 70,000 with the next job, then you'll have a period of time while he's able to do that. And as you said, he worked a very physical job, so he might not be able to do another 20, which I don't blame him. But if
Mhm.
he did it for 5 or 10, whatever he wants to do, you would be in a position where you're bringing in a lot more money than you had previously, because he
Mhm.
basically would be bringing in not
3
quite double,
paychecks.
but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would be an opportunity for you guys to focus. What I would recommend, which you probably know what I'm gonna, is to focus on
I
saving.
totally know what you're gonna say. Yes,
Like,
that's great great advice.
because it'll give you a window where you have income that you're not used to having,
Yeah.
right? And it'll give you some breathing room, so I would take some of the breathing room, but I would actually make sure the credit card debt gets paid off first. That's your worst
Okay.
debt, right? Because it can grow. The student loans, I'm really hoping that you're able to do the public service loan forgiveness. Yeah, and I'm very confident you can find a buddy at work who knows
Yes.
everything to know about the benefits. There's
Yes.
always one, if not two. And then I would probably say I'd probably also get rid of the auto loan, the 780, if you can, because that's just like a big chunk of money. But then what I would do is redo your budget and say, can we save, which I would think you'd be able to do, right? If we keep everything else pretty much the same, can we
Mhm.
save $1,000 or $2,000 a month so that we have liquidity, right? So that when
Yeah.
the first thing I would do would be an emergency fund with 4 children. I think you said 3 dogs and a house. Those are expensive emergencies.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So I would focus on the debt and then building up the emergency fund, and then from there, what I would do, I think this would be the easiest, is to see what you have available at your job in terms of a retirement, like a 403(b) in
Okay.
contributing, and then see with his new career if he has, maybe because you said it's private or corporately owned, so it would be a 401(k), and
Mhm.
then both enroll in those plans for an amount that's comfortable, and then save money that way. You've done the emergency fund, you paid down debt, but I would use that double income where you have your income, you have a pension, and then a second job where you have three sets of income coming in.
Mhm.
I would use that as a window to get ahead financially, because
Okay.
that can change the entire trajectory.
Yeah.
If you only did it for 5 years, right?
It would
If
really change. Yeah.
it
Yes.
would
You're
change, change everything, honestly. After that 5 years, if you really don't change your lifestyle, which will be hard because it's gonna be very tempting to live a different lifestyle. But if you continue, you know, living on the same lifestyle and you're really able to save most of that, we'll just say 60,000 or 50,000, if you're able to save most of that coming in after tax over 5 years, it's a significant amount of money that you could have set aside.
My husband is gonna be so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but he actually said this to me about a year ago. He was like, "We should just completely save
I would save it.
the
If I
second
were
one."
you,
Smug, that's what I'm looking for, smug.
oh, because I said, okay. So,
Yeah.
okay. And this is the way I operate. I think financial stress is hard. I think knowing that if there's a problem, it throws everything off, right? I think that even if you don't think about it today and it's not top of mind, I feel like you always kind of know in your body that, God forbid, there's a car accident
Yeah.
or there's an emergency vet bill, like, you're teetering,
Oh
right?
my gosh, like the stupidest thing. I ran into a curb and then ignored my car telling me, "Hey, something's really wrong with your tire." And then I was just really lucky that I only had to replace the tires and not the actual
At the
wheel.
rim. Yeah.
Yeah, because I kept going. I was like, "I have to go pick my child up.
Yeah. I don't have
I
time for this right
I
now.
don't have
Yeah.
time for." I was in complete denial. It was ridiculous. And it was a $1,300 accident, and we happened to have the cash, but like you say, like, that's why our savings account is still only 1,000 because there it
Things come
went.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a lot of people, right?
So many people,
There's a
Barbara.
lot of people in your family. So, like, it's maybe you don't have an accident, but one of your kids, so
Yeah,
if
true for
I were
sure.
you if I were you, I would say continue with what you're doing, make
Yeah.
you know, keeping your heads above water, you're saving in the deferred comp, you're paying back the loan, you're managing, right? The extra I'd put towards the credit card every month if you have it.
Okay.
Hopefully with the savings on gas and utilities
Yes.
and reworking the budget, you'll end up having a little more monthly, like 7 or 900 extra. and start to tackle the credit card debt once that's done, emergency fund. And then, but when you do have these three sources of income, what I would do if I were in your shoes is use that 5-year period to change your entire life.
Okay. Wow.
If you are able to save that extra income at the end of it, what you could have is a fully funded emergency fund, no debt,
Mhm.
and savings.
Yeah, wow. That fills
Mhm.
me with all kinds of hope.
Yeah, you could have it all done, and then
Yeah.
so your husband, if he works, he's 43 now, and so in 5 years he's 48, right? 48,
Mhm.
and then 5 years from there he's 53, and then you would be 56, right?
Mhm.
So then at 56 you have no debt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, other than your mortgage, but your mortgage is fine, right? You're gonna keep making that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not get crazy. You have
No.
no student loans, you have no credit card debt, you have no car loans, right? You have a fully funded emergency fund. You both have retirement accounts. And then let's say maybe you even have an investment account as well. And then at that point, you you are also going to have a pension, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think it's great, but yeah, it's not great like
But
his,
still,
but still
it's
it's something.
still someone sending you a check,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so then 2 pensions, and then you guys at that point, you are closer than he is, but then you're around 10 years out from Social Security. So even if you both wanna pare down, right, your biggest expense at that point will be mortgage and health insurance, but you have very good discipline because you spent 5 years saving, right?
Yes.
And then you can tone everything down because you're living within a budget. You nailed the budget for the last 5 years. You've saved a ton. You're prepared for any sort of emergency. And then you say, I maybe your husband completely stops working and you just live on your income until you get to 60. And then at that point, or 62, I do normally like to take Social Security later, but it's very unique to have two pensions coming in.
Yeah.
And then you guys are you're gonna be cruising at that point.
Oh my gosh, Barbara, that's such good news.
Yeah. It's just gonna take a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm playing it
Yeah.
out 20 years, but I really think your biggest opportunity to get ahead financially will be when you have 3 sets of income. And
Yeah.
it will be very tempting to live a different life, right? It'll be very tempting to live a life where the household income is over 200,000. That is a different life than you're living, and you could do that. My concern for you is that I think what will give you more joy is knowing that you're financially secure. You don't need to rely on credit cards. It's not a big deal if anything happens. It's also not a big deal if you go over on your grocery budget at that point.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
not having that stress.
someday, not all the children will be here.
Right. Your expenses will go down.
Someday. Yeah. I mean, we don't know about our child with autism. We're not sure like what we might even I'm going to ask them to let me know what it is if I split it for his lifetime too when I
Mhm.
talk to the para people just to see what that looks like.
Yes, you want to talk to them about that, but you also want to know whether or not he's going to be on any state aid, like
Yeah.
Medicaid. And so you have to be careful with
Yeah.
that type of planning because inheritance isn't always a good thing if you get someone qualified for government benefits
Okay.
because it can kick them off. And so, for
Okay.
instance, let's say when he's done with high school, you get him qualified for state assistance, right? Their
Okay.
incomes need to, if he can still get a job, like we have clients that are, I don't know exactly what their diagnosis is, but they have like a nice job at the movie theater, right? And they go to
Yeah.
work and they
Yeah.
have their apartment, but they're on government benefits, right? Like they're on Medicaid and they're qualified for the apartment based on income. They
Okay.
can't inherit. Like you can't just give them a bunch
Okay.
of money because they lose their government benefits and that's very disruptive.
Yes.
And those individuals, and I'm speaking in generalizations, aren't always capable of going and navigating the complex government benefit system to get if they got kicked off to re-enroll themselves in it.
Okay.
So you just want to talk. There are advisors that specialize with special needs planning.
Okay.
So that would be something down the line. Because
Yeah.
remember, with the pension, you can't go back and change it.
Okay.
If you put your son on it and then find
Can't go.
out it's gonna, you can't go back and alt. Those are, you can't edit it.
Okay, we have lots of time.
You have
We
lots
have
of time, but
lots of
it
time.
would be a worthwhile meeting, seeing what kind of care your son needs and what kind of benefits he may or may not qualify for, and then determining, should he be getting the pension or should we be setting up a special needs trust for his benefit and having one of the other children be the trustee so that if he needs something, we're not screwing up maybe any sort of government benefits he may receive.
Got it.
Yeah. It's kind of instead of going A to B, you would go like A to C, C to B, You just like
Yeah. Like a
just to
little,
make
yep.
sure.
Got
Yeah.
it. Yep. Okay. So advisor specialty. I probably should have been typing. It's fine.
You can listen to it. You don't even need to type it
Oh
because
my
you can listen to it. Yeah.
dang, I hope I can read that later. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Thank you for
Yeah, of
reminding
course.
me that
Yeah,
this
because
is
I have a
recorded.
yeah, it's recorded, so you can listen to it. Yeah, because I have a very good friend, his son is special needs, and so he does a lot of that work. Because
Cool.
it's he grew, he raised his son like that, and so he's very passionate about it. And it's, having lived it and then specialized in it. And so you can find advisors that definitely specialize in how to do that type of planning and making sure
Awesome.
that your son is taken care of
Yeah,
financially, but then also getting his needs taken care of if he's on any state or, government
yeah.
benefits.
We're not sure yet. Like he's so independent in so many ways and then he gets thrown off by something. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, and he's
We
still
don't know.
young, so.
Very. Yep. Yeah.
But yes, I think your biggest opportunity is I would continue doing, the correct stuff, right? Which is pay down the credit cards first with anything extra, build the
Yeah.
emergency fund. But then your biggest like life-changing opportunity
Is those
is to
that 3 income stream.
yeah.
Mhm.
And if you
Mhm.
sacrifice for and it might happen, I have no idea, right? Like in the future, like maybe over the next 5 years you make a ton of progress. There's no credit card debt, and the car loan's paid off. So maybe you already have more bandwidth in 5 years if things go, with no problems over the next five and everything goes real smooth. I mean, you just don't know, and that's very possible. So
Yeah.
then maybe your husband only works for 3 years and you really change everything. You just don't know. But I think that's going to be your biggest window to like fully
Awesome.
funded emergency fund, bulk up a retirement, and then I think you'll be cruising. I think.
Yeah. Awesome. That is such good news. Whew.
Those
That is
pensions, man.
yeah,
I'm a huge
yeah.
fan. Yeah, having
Um,
pensions is great, and having a pension where you start so young,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
we
that
were
you're
lucky. I didn't get my act together. I was just like a wanderer. So I didn't really start my career till I was 30, but he started his career at 23.
yeah, it's young, and you can get your 25 years in real fast. It goes real
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
So,
Very young, very young.
well, very good. Well, do you have any other questions for me?
No, I feel this weird lightness.
Oh,
Thank you.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you
Um,
so much for following up with me. And yeah.
oh yeah, absolutely. So, for all of our lovely listeners, you can find our most up to date information on Instagram at Future Rich Podcast or on our website, www.futurerichpodcast.com. Time for our disclaimer. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance references are historical and do not guarantee future results. Make sure that you consult with your own legal, tax, and/or financial advisor before making any decisions.